Hey everybody, welcome back to Your Free TV. It is Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. I'm so glad to be back with you here on the channel. I will jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice to anybody. It's not intended to bully, harass, or incite violence of any kind. There are further disclaimers in the description below. And so I'm so glad to be back with you here today. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You make it happen, and I'm so grateful. And so let's jump in with the news. I think it's very important today as an election day. I hope everybody who is in a state or county that has elections today got out and voted and did your part to be part of the civics, part of our duty to elect officials that we want, even though we're dealing with massive fraud in our election systems. And Mike Lindell has a great event going on. I believe the live stream is tomorrow, presenting a whole new plan of what's going on for stopping the 2024 election fraud, but ongoing already. I'll link it below. But we had a very interesting situation where in Pennsylvania, they had to stop elections. They had to pause them because they were seeing that people who, that they wrote a vote on the ballot, put it into the machine, and the machines were flipping the vote. Now, in Pennsylvania, they're saying that this went primarily just to the had mostly to do with the Superior Court judges' votes in Pennsylvania. This had to do with Northampton County, but it was multiple districts that they had to pause because the machines were flipping the votes. They would put in the written-in ballots. It would come up as the opposite person in the machines. This is exactly what we've been talking about forever. There are multiple lawsuits still going on. We know in Connecticut last week, they had to, a judge literally had to void the election for a mayoral election in Connecticut because the same exact thing happened. Well, no, actually that had to do more with ballot stuffing and tons of ballot fraud. But what we're seeing here is what I'm trying to say is there's huge action towards recognizing the fraud that's going on. So today, as a voter day nationwide, we are seeing, at least in Pennsylvania, that they had to pause elections to do with watching the machines flip votes. Okay, so this is really good news to see that it's being seen, and especially in the swing state of Pennsylvania, where when we look at the election steal in 2020, we saw Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, Arizona, Nevada, all massively flipped in the election steal scheme. I mean, although it was all 50 states that had massive fraud. But very interesting to notice, even in the New York Times poll coming out in those swing states, except for maybe Wisconsin, that there is overwhelming support for Trump 2024 in the election. That's coming out. That's a separate issue to the voting today. But coming out in the poll that they even had to put out in New York Times is that they're saying that Trump has such an incredible lead that it would be impossible to beat. And so this is, very interesting to see this early on, that they're saying this. Now, we also get this with Barack Obama's, one of his primary campaign people coming out and actually coming against Joe Biden. No surprise there. They're not exactly friends, but it's interesting to see that we're even seeing Barack Obama's one of his main guys, Axelrod, coming out and saying that there is we need a new candidate 2024 for the Democrat Party. Basically coming out and saying that Biden can't be the candidate, trying to set the stage, which I've said in my last video, what I think is for Michelle Obama. That they're trying to basically, excite the Obama base, if it still exists, but he has so much power, to say that no, Biden can't be the candidate for the Dems in 2024. We need to accept that we need a new candidate. So, of course, we have Newsom in China last week, sliding down the stairs of the plane, Joe Biden style, and decking a kid while he's playing basketball, but then coming back coming back and saying that he really likes Xi's example of following the child, okay, from the cradle to the career. He says that he applauds this program of China of tracking every child from the cradle to their career in order to basically implement that in the United States. Very much how Trudeau in Canada says, we love that Xi system because it gives us so much power if we're dictators. And it really isn't that different from a lot of what of European education has been for the last 50 years, where they are pretty much, they don't have the freedoms we have here to just go and pursue anything we want with our liberty and under our constitution. In Europe, you get very much tracked into what primary school you go to, what education you'll be allowed to go to, everything through testing, everything through what you're allowed to pursue in your career. We have a very singular system here in the United States of this situation of where you can come from anything and move into anything you want to become who you want to be, to basically through your merit elevate through society into doing great things for the society. So I want to jump in here to this situation of Aubrey Hale. And, the situation where this was leaked to the crowd yesterday, where they got the information of the manifesto on Aubrey Hale, who who was the shooter in the Christian school, who shot up 6 people, killed 3 children, 3 adults. And they're saying that the manifesto was leaked, and they put it out on LowderwithCrowder. They put it out through the Mug Club and Alex Jones. And I want to get into that for just a second, just cover it, because it's, from my perspective, all of this gets back to an MK Ultra style of psychiatric indoctrination, use of drugs, and especially when you get into hormone blockers and the new science of creating your own Manchurian candidates through putting them on these drugs, and of course the sensors that are in all of our bodies. So what did Aubrey Hale say before she shot up that Christian school where she had supposedly attended many years before? She was 28 years old, had decided she was transgender, was transitioning using all of these wicked powerful hormone blocker drugs. And then they say there's a manifesto. To me, it reads more like a diary in the pages that were released. And, she says, kill the little white privileged crackers, okay, and then goes to shoot them up and all of this. And she chose to be Aiden, become a man, all of this. And, that's all, to me, an aside. To me, it's the medical experimentation on people and the MK Ultra gone large. That is, when you look at people like Sabrina Wallace breaking through the noise with all of her work on what it means for all of us to be connected to this interbody nano network with the sensors all inside of us. With the people who are getting on these SSRIs and then to combine them with the hormone drugs, you have access. And you have access to their minds, their bodies, their brains, and of course the indoctrination that they go through in the schools. But I want to bring people's attention to something called ablechild.org. They've been doing heavy lifting ever since 2001, or even earlier, basically questioning the SSRIs. Okay, these are your antidepressive drugs and your everything from Adderall on up given to children, okay, and what it does to their brains, what it does to their psychology, and calling for the psychiatrists involved to have to come forward and speak to what happened to this child's or person's behavior. We could look at Robert Card, what happened in Maine with the shooting in Lewiston, who was the vet, the veterinary hospital psychiatrist who was managing Robert Card, who is a psychiatrist managing Audrey Hale. Who is a psychiatrist? Who are they connected to? Are they connected to intelligence? Are they connected to a larger, broader sphere of experimentation, okay, for an MK Ultra style program? And I would say yes, for entertainment purposes only. I would say absolutely, okay? And ablechild.org has looked, they fought from everything down to, Lanza way back with the S hook situation, where they were calling for his psychiatrist, who he was on massive drugs, okay, and all of these CIA connected communities and people are I think largely involved in what is pushing this situation to get where Sabrina Wallace, okay, out of Synergy, PSINRGY, on multiple platforms, Sabrina Wallace, talking about how the nanosensors they've put in us can be interacted and controlled with SSRI drugs, and then through the access through the internet, through the sensors, get in there, and what she calls it is they're playing video games with people. And the people have jobs, okay? They have jobs to track and trace all of these people who are involved in this research, this massive research program through our military medical institutions and all of the colleges and universities associated with them. And that drops down massively into the trans medical industrial complex. And that basically playing people like video games, okay? We look into super soldier research, all of it. What happens when they get into the brain and start giving commands and tinkering and creating this violence. And of course, this cover-up of this manifesto with Aubrey Hale, I really think is not such a manifesto as much as a diary. Nobody that knew her knew of these writings. And when you look at them, they look very, I'll just call it fake. Not fake in the sense that they weren't leaked, but fake in the sense of just not really in the head, maybe, of this person, for entertainment purposes only. I just question the origins of these writings. It's not that I don't believe it's not true that these specific crimes were definitely committed against Christians for a reason, but I think it's the larger story of who's behind creating these nanobot-controlled soldiers to go and create atrocities. Robert Card, Aubrey Hale, and it goes on from there. So I wanted to mention that, just cover it real quick before I move on, because I want to move on into, of course, now we have the nuclear sub that has moved from the United States into the Mediterranean. And that's just, kind of hush-hush, barely a whisper, that now we have a nuclear submarine in the Mediterranean with, the SS Gerald Ford, the largest aircraft carrier ever made in history, and the entire carrier fleet there, something like, 100 ships. We've got the other carrier fleet out there in the Red Sea. I mean, this is getting crazy, right? And meanwhile, they're just still decimating North Gaza, decimating. And so I'll just put forth what I've said in videos the last couple times, which is that having a nuclear submarine, okay, is exactly what they would need there for entertainment purposes only, a Gulf of Tonkin type FEFE, where if there were to be some kind of massive explosion that was able to take out the Ford and all the other NATO groups that are there, it certainly would create what they need to have a much larger war on multiple fronts. And the other interesting thing that comes, and I think that's not a small thing, the Gulf of Tonkin is real. If you look at, Admiral Morrison and, Jim Morrison's father, who did the Gulf of Tonkin, the Doors, him, his dad, if you look at what brought us into Vietnam and what brought us, you look at kind of the parallels of Gaza with its, 110 miles of underground tunnels, so superbly built, by the way. That takes a lot of money to build all those tunnels under Gaza. But very similar kind of, they're not creative, Cartel Babylon. The demonic satanic forces, they're derivative. And so they will just repeat and lie and lie and lie while they do the same thing over and over again. It's like any chronic liar or any like pathological liar that just can't stop lying. Like they'll just do the same thing again and again while gaslighting you with whatever thing that they can come up with. And so for me, looking at that, and now a nuclear sub coming in there after we look at what happened with Nord Stream 2, with the blowing up of Nord Stream 2, we have to wonder, okay, they're biding their time. Blinken's running around the world. Blinken, he's running around the world, now in Turkey, gets the big heave-ho, the big shove, the big we don't care. Turkey, the biggest, one of the biggest manufacturers of drones, okay, in the world, given a lot of that technology given to them by the United States, by the way. All of this controlled demolition in this, this step off for World War III. So there's that with a nuclear sub there in the Mediterranean and what could kick off. But, we also need to look at this situation where it turns out that there's a huge canal that they're building, that they want to build. They were going to build it north of Gaza, but now they don't have to build it north of Gaza. They can come right through where North Gaza is because it's been razed to build back Babylon better and bring the canal right through there. And this is to have massive amounts of income for Israel and to compete with the Suez, which Israel has been dealing with the Suez Canal in Egypt, for 60 years, 70 years, well, 65, and dealing with, they already fought the second Arab-Israeli war over the Suez Canal and the control of the Suez Canal, and they created an EFI, or a war, way back in the 60s to do with this. And so let's look at what's going on with this Ben Gurion Canal, okay? So the Ben Gurion Canal has been planned for the last few years. And what's really interesting about it is that even to build it, it's going across desert. Okay, so you're going from just, north of Gaza there, all the way to a lot to, the port of Aqaba, or Aqaba there on the Red Sea. And basically you would have to, you're going through desert, and so you need to dig way deep and big giant canal. They're saying we couldn't do it without multiple nuclear explosions to get through this land. And I'll link the articles below that describe this, but we would need multiple nuclear explosions. Some say as many as 500 nuclear explosions to get a canal built through from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea across Israel. And this was supposed to go north of Gaza, okay, but that was inconvenient because they have all of these gas deposits, everything that Israel's doing there in the Mediterranean and fighting around. This is all the unspoken stuff with Azerbaijan and what's going on with the Armenians. And we'll get to Armenians being kicked out of Jerusalem a couple days ago, by the way. Big fight there in Jerusalem, the Christians, been there for 1,600 plus years, getting kicked out of Jerusalem. Well, let's stick with the canal for a second. So they want to go from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. And this is going to take about $55 billion, maybe less, but they could shave off, about 10, 20 billion of that by having North Gaza gone. Having it gone, okay? So all the razing, the killing, the genocide, the collective punishment, all of that being what they want to do to use that real estate, build back Babylon better, to be able to go right straight across with this situation with the canal. And so what we're finding is that they have been planning this for the last, 10 years, but for the past 3 years, they've been doing it pretty massively. And so what we're seeing is that they want to bring the oil, the gas, and also massive grain and just shipping through this canal to compete with Suez, and they'd be able to do it for much cheaper. It's going to be much larger than the Suez Canal, 110 meters wide, and much deeper than the Suez, so you won't get those ships stuck in the Suez like what happened in 2021. No ships stuck in the Suez. It'll be fine. It'll be totally amazing competition with Suez, and it will produce at least $10 billion annually for Israel. And so the cost will be offset within a very few years. And so having an FEF in the Mediterranean would be the perfect cover for the going full bore in creating what is the Ben Gurion Canal. Okay. And so I wanted to bring that to your attention so that you knew about that they have been planning this canal for a very long time, and we'll see, we'll see in the next, week or so. Blinken's running around doing all of this, just, begging to every leader, and making negotiations. They always just say, they're just blowing him off. No. This is all pay for play. They're all deciding, what do we do? How do we pull this off the best, where we can kick off World War III, where we can kick off, an FEF, where we can kick off, some kind of explosion that happens, okay, that brings in the other powers. And I believe that's what's happening. And I believe that canal is a huge part of it, and that the shutting down of Gaza through mass genocide and just raising it, okay, is what they're doing. And as I said in my last video, I believe that directed energy weapons are part of it, and could be coming soon to literally just obliterate what's left, because they don't really need nuclear weapons. They can use directed energy weapons. And we know that Space Force and Unit 512 or 541. I gotta get it back to it. But the unit I've been talking about there of the U.S. Space Force base in southern Gaza, that's their specialty, and it's also Earth-based directed energy weapons that are that can be used across land. They can be launched from anywhere on land. And so I wanted to mention that. Okay, and so a few other things I want to mention. This is going to be kind of a short video today. I wanted to mention the J6er Felicia Kenold. Now, this is how crazy it gets with the ongoing persecution and political prison situation here in the United States of this ridiculous persecution of people who just literally step foot in the avenue of the Capitol area and tried to listen to President Trump give historic speech. Felicia Kenold is facing up to 6 months in prison for literally just stepping on being at the Capitol listening to the rally. She met a couple of the Proud Boys while she was there. Never met them before, didn't know them from Adam. And just for being there and having her, all of her, geofenced cell stuff recognized, she had her house raided by the FBI in February of 21. She was staying at her aunt's, where she was a caregiver to her aunt. She has 2 children. One's 2 years old. One's 13 years old now. And so she is working 2 jobs, single mom, going to school, working 80 hours a week, homeschooling her kids and going to work and all of it. And they literally want to put somebody who had nothing to do with anything into prison for 6 months. And then you look at Owen Schroyer, who's under total solitary confinement. It started as a week for COVID. Now he's under there for another 30 days of solitary confinement for making a phone call where he had it recorded and put it out to be broadcast about how he's doing, what's going on with solitary confinement. We have Joe Biggs, who just got transferred from one federal facility to another. Again, didn't do anything. He shook a fence. He shook a fence when he was there at the Capitol, and he's facing like 17 years. They just had him in, I think they call it box cuffing, where his arms, his wrists and arms are so tight that they can't move at all. It's usually for really intense security when you're moving from one place to another. He had it done to him for 16 hours, transferring from one facility to another, and couldn't feel his arms, couldn't feel his back, basically everything going into paralysis because they're so malnourished and they have so little movement. And he's been in solitary confinement now for months and months. And this is what we're looking at. Okay, so we all know that this is complete and utter Soviet, Stalin, Hitler style political prisoner treatment. And so we just want to bring as much attention to it as we can. And I will link below ways for you to get information about that and to help people if you want to help them. And so let's look at what else before I go. I'm going to keep this a short video today. I should be back tomorrow. I wanted to talk about the Iowa governor. So ridiculous. Kim Reynolds has endorsed DeSantis, DeSantis as he calls himself. He literally over the weekend basically said that his plot to gain, to get elected is that Jack Smith will put Trump in jail, and that's how he will be able to get elected. I mean, he has said the most heinous things, and he can do it because he is protected by his Yale fraternity status, coming out of one of the most elite fraternities in Yale that was, of course, meant specifically for Jesuits, for Jesuits being brought up and designed for the position. And him coming out when he's failing, he's literally practically, Nikki Haley is even almost climbing up over DeSantis. And that's what he had to say, was that, well, justice is going to come for Trump. And when it does, I will be the candidate. And so that's the kind of lowlife that we're dealing with. The AG of Iowa has already endorsed President Trump. And it's a ridiculous low blow to see Kim Reynolds, the governor, endorse him. And when she did endorse DeSantis, what he got was crickets in the polls. It didn't give him any bit of rise in his ratings. So he's not going anywhere. There's no DeSantis anything happening. It is, it's not happening. And so there's that. And so, okay. The last thing I think I'm going to cover here in this short video tonight is I wanted to mention a couple things. One is something you should absolutely watch out and make sure you don't have anything to do with, which is a callback from Tyson Foods that they have recalled their fun nuggets. And these are dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets, okay? Think GMO, tumor nuggets, that they are calling them back. They're fun nuggets, and they want you to throw them away if you bought them from Tyson because they are full of metal shards inside the patties. Metal shards in your patties. And I want to remind people when I talked about Protix a couple of weeks ago or last week, Protix being the bug company that has joined up with Tyson Foods out of the Netherlands. Protix is making cricket powder that with Tyson plans to replace the breading, on your manufactured foods. So if you're going to buy your chicken nuggets, you're going to buy whatever breaded things they make. I don't know. I don't buy them. Please don't buy them. Don't eat them. But the breading now is going to be cricket or grubs or mealy worms, powdered, made into breading. Okay, this stuff is highly toxic. It's highly allergic. It's very toxic, full of parasites. Don't buy it. Don't eat it. But especially if you have those fun nuggets, definitely don't eat them either. They're toxic and they should not be eaten. They've got metal shards in them. The fun nuggets by Tyson. Okay. And so we've got Ivanka Trump is going to be testifying tomorrow. Trump will be making a huge speech tomorrow night. Ivanka Trump is, of course, testifying in Operation Liquidation by Letitia James, thinking she's going to liquidate Trump. He literally just, just threw her to the mat yesterday. In his testimony through Judge Engoron, who is crazy, and he basically demanded his right to speak. They tried to shut him down from speaking, tried to get his lawyer to shut him down, Alina Habba. And he just said, basically, this is a sham, it's a scam. And of course, they're just trying to steal all of his assets so he cannot run for president. But we do know that this isn't going to win. He is, it'll be interesting to see what Ivanka Trump does tomorrow and to watch President Trump's speech on Wednesday, November 8th. And I want to also just mention that even though we have, the issue of the new speaker, Mike Johnson, wanting money to go to Israel, et cetera, and I know that's problematic for so many, but is for me too. No more money to Israel, no more money to anybody, no foreign funding to anybody. I'm against all foreign funding. Okay, we already gave Israel $3.8 billion. They're a rich nation. They can pay their own war. Okay, this is about the canal. This is about oil. It's about gas. It is about Blinken run around everywhere singing, can we kick off World War III? At the same time, can we get you on board for this Ben Gurion Canal? That's what it's all about. Okay, don't look over here where there's tens of thousands of people dead and the whole entire thing razed. Don't look over there. No. It's about the canal. It's about tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars, up into the hundreds of billions in trade, in gas and oil, and coming out through the Mediterranean, connecting it eastward. But what Mike Johnson did do, which I do love, is he did fire Alan Souza, the National Security Advisor, who was counsel to Speaker McCarthy, responsible to so much going on with all this pay-for-play to do with all the big funding of the grift from Congress, the rhinos and the Democrats, getting down to FTX, getting down to Sequoia Capital being completely run by the CCP, everything to do with stealing all of our technology for the CCP through Sequoia Capital. We did have Mike Johnson fire Alan Souza, not put him somewhere else, not just give him his SES walking papers to the next place, although I'm sure he is an SES guy. Fire him, done and out. And so that is a big win, and I think a really good up for Mike Johnson, even though we're still watching and waiting, seeing what's going to happen there. No funding to Israel, no more, and definitely no bills that aren't single issue bills. Mike Johnson, get on your phones, do your 202-225-3121, call Mike Johnson, tell him exactly what you think about how he's doing, because the more feedback he gets, the more he knows where the MAGA base is and just where the whole United States is. Show him what you think. Tell him what you think. Give a call. And there is an app now called Billbuster. I think it comes out of War Room with Stephen Bannon. I'll try to link it below. Billbusters, where you get your app and it gives you the direct. I'm not an apper, but if you're an apper, you already do that kind of thing. You basically, if you get the app, it'll tell you the exact connection line, phone line. So you don't have to go through the 202-225-3121. You can just go, not through through the switchboard. You go straight to your specific speaker you want to talk to. You can break it all down. You can call them. You can email them. You can hit their social media. Billbusters app. So I'm going to put that below, and that's just for activism, how to get involved if you want to do something to stop them from, doing whatever crappy thing they're about to do in our crime syndicate that doubles as our Congress. So I'm going to leave it there, folks. Just a shorty today, but that the situation of the canal is huge to understand, I think, in all of this Build Back Better Babylon. And especially the demolition of the northern part of Gaza, why they're doing it. Oh, but no, I did actually need to talk to you about one thing, which was the really, really sick and creepy thing of that they literally went after the Christians, the Armenian Christians, So we know they're going after the Armenians on the border of Azerbaijan, where all the pipelines are coming through to do with Israel as well. And that Israel, Netanyahu's government, all of them have been backing Azerbaijan to kind of push this ethnic cleansing of the Armenians, the ancient Christians there, on the edge of our Azerbaijan and Armenia. And I've been talking about that, but now we have in the Old Quarter Jerusalem, and this is key, I wanted to talk about this in the beginning. We have in the Old Quarter Jerusalem, we have heavily armed Zionists backed with police going into the Old Quarter of Jerusalem that is to do with the Armenians. And they have been there for at least 1,600 years plus, and this is like a basically another ethnic cleansing in Jerusalem. And so we're getting this all 3-in-1 oil here, where the war's allowing them to go in and do all of their other stuff, okay, with wanting to cleanse out for the more religious, satanic, jump the shark Armageddon war. So they go in on November 5th in the night, okay, 2 nights ago, and they are heavily armed, and they go to the Armenian quarter of the old city of Jerusalem, attempt to expel the Christians from their homes, expel the Christians in the old quarter, this Israel that our whole AIPAC government supports, okay, expel the Christians in order to seize their homes and to install Israelis into those homes. This is real. This is happening. This isn't make-believe. This isn't conspiracy. This happened 2 nights ago. So there's the let's do the canal. Let's steal everything we can. Let's raise the population of Gaza. But then there is the jump the shark Armageddon. Okay, there is the let's bring in the beast. Let's fuel the Lucifer and get the Antichrist system moving here, right? A lot of people say the temple's already built underneath the Temple of the Mount. It's already been built underground. And that when they say, in the eighth beast kingdom, that Israel must already have its temple, rebuilt temple raised, and so that Israel joins with the beast system, all this. Well, are they raising it now right under Gaza? I don't know. Entertainment purposes only. What's going on is so nefarious. Israelis killing Jews, Israelis going after Christians, Israelis, being set up. The worst enemies of the Jewish people are the Zionist cartel Babylon, right? And when you get with Ukraine being Gomer in the eighth beast kingdom, and you look at how they're populating this all out, and the United States being the traveling, the amorphous part of it, with not us patriots, not us people, 1776 Constitution, loving our freedom. No, it's your Blinkens, your West execs, it's all of your implants. And of course, Blinken, his grandfather was one of the founders of Israel. As I've talked about so much, his father and his stepfather, George Soros and Robert Maxwell, the two sides. And Anthony Blinken went to school in Paris. He went to his bringing up him as a diplomat, Zionist operative to do with the CIA and MI6, and like Robert Maxwell, like his father, connected with his stepfather's George Soros connections, went to school with Robert Malley, who is the big player in Iran, the envoy to Iran, ambassador to Iran under Barack Obama, the guy who had his security clearance revoked because he was so infiltrated in everything that had to do with the Iran nuclear deal, everything to do with Hamas and Hezbollah, and he had his security clearance revoked. He went to school with Anthony Blinken. They were grown up in the same diplomatic, talk about MK Ultra, talk about massive programming. These are the people, okay, that are our government. And so that's all I'm gonna leave it there, folks. That's what's going on for today. But I'm gonna jump further into this interbody nano network this week, get more into what it means to play video games with people's minds as a job, as Sabrina Wallace talks about it. Just further deeply kind of dig into where we headed here and how they keep waiting it out, seeing how they can angle it for how they can jump it off into World War III. Now we're praying. We don't want World War III. We want peace. We want love. We want a giant, massive Christ vibe, okay, and just the Holy Spirit infusing all of us. And it's happening. People are awake. They don't believe anything. They don't believe any of it. These people are half on the run. But what we need to do is wake up from our entrained slumber, our entrained brain drain by the devices. We need to wake up and be part of the living, right? Where we can influence the people around us and where we can help to aid in what is coming through into our atmosphere, into our vibrations now through Christ, through the higher vibrations, to make us be part of awakening, okay, awakening humanity. And so prayer is paramount. What you did today, going out and voting and being active, being part of, that is paramount. And then, of course, it's getting active in your civic duty. That shows the world that we care, okay? And it's not even, it shows them through the numbers, whether we can defeat the fake, fraudulent machines owned by the CCP and Cartel Babylon. What matters is that we're out en masse creating energy that shows actually God that we care, okay? And it shows everybody around us that we care, that we're active, we're not asleep, we're not sitting here watching Netflix, we're doing, we're being, we're out being part of. So be part of, and keep on moving, keep on doing. You are free. I'll do a tiny plug here at the end. If you got something from this video and you want to support the channel, there's ways to do so below. And I have a sponsor, which is C60 Evo, c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. C60 Evo is an incredible carbon 60 product, ESS 60 they call it, as a completely 100% pure carbon 60 molecule that gets into your mitochondria, right deep down into your cells to dig out all of the gunge from your cells. Cellular health is literally the key to longevity, helps to fight the big C. It helps against radiation of all kinds, including 5G radiation. It works with your melatonin and glutathione to carry that garbage out of your cells. It is one of the most potent antioxidants available on the market. Incredible. I think only second to maybe moringa, taken in high doses, but c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. If you support the channel, you get 15% off. Ways to do so below, and you get a separate link, an email sent to you. So thanks for watching, folks. I hope you found this valuable today. You are free. I'll see you very soon next time.